Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will learn to accept, receive, and to share the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. And today is September the 17th, 2020, and this subject is about spell casting. Now, having been through myself a period of time in my life when spells and that kind of thing really attracted me, okay? So there will be those folks who say, well, Hawkeye, Dave, what's your experience in this? And, what do who are you to say that this is like a bad idea? Now, it has come to my attention. Hey, Barry, how are you? Greetings and blessings. It has come to my attention that there are certain folks on certain channels that are discussing that spell casting is like what we need to do to become higher spiritual beings, kind of thing. That we should do this for protection. And, all of my guardian angels and spirit guides are like beating me to death, going, no, this is so not the right way. Now, let me say this. If someone thinks that I'm picking on a particular person or website or channel or something, that's coincidental, okay? What is important is to focus on not who's doing or whatever. It's the fact that spell casting is a very bad idea, okay? Regardless of who or what, if you're learning on your own, I'm going to explain to you on so many different levels why this is a really bad idea. Having nothing to do, again, I'm going to repeat this probably through this video. This is not about a person or channel or persons or their beliefs and what they want to do, but I'm going to try to give you some common sense that it will stop, that you should hopefully stop and think and go, is this really a good idea? Now, you make the decision on your own. You have your own free will, but let me tell you from my own experience, stay away from it. Now, way back in the day, this is like back in the 70s, I was messing around with some demonology and some stuff, and I'd picked up this spell book from an old bookstore kind of thing. And it said you needed this and that, so I was recreating this thing, and then I realized that there was something in the room with me before I ever finished this thing, right? This conjuring or whatever it was that I was doing. And I realized I was way over my head. Way over my head. And to this day, I have wondered whether or not, even though I didn't complete the spell thingy, that I'm curious as to whether or not I brought something close enough from the other side because they could hear me whistling, and that if it had followed me around kind of thing. So, but anyway, so I have my own personal, don't do this. Now, let me give you an example, and a very simple one. If you've never, somebody hands you a nail and a hammer, and you've never nailed a nail with a hammer before, and you might be a little clumsy. So they say, okay, nail this nail with this hammer into that board over there. Well, how do you do it? Well, you hold it with your fingers and then you sling the hammer at it. Now, they're going to get hit. They are going to hit their fingers at least once during learning how to do this. So think about this. So someone, or you run across a book or something, and it says spell casting, let's try this. Now, you know nothing about this. Somebody just handed you a nail and a hammer. And they say, okay, this is what I want you to do. And you're going to do this flawlessly the first time without ever making a mistake or missing the nail and bending it, or, you're going to be able to do this right every single time to hit that nail. Now, here's something that you've never experienced. You don't know what's really out there. And somebody or a book or something suggests, well, let's try this. You don't have a clue. So, but you're going to grab that hammer, whatever the book or the thing or whatever the information is, and you're going to go at this spell casting like you know what the hell you're doing. Wham, 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 wham. Now, what are you doing to the universe? You don't have a clue. Now, that's just one part of this. In thinking about how I was going to talk about this, now I lit some sage earlier, and for the last 10, 15 minutes, I've been praying here. I mean, I even got my little quartz crystal sitting here because I know this is a subject that, could quite possibly piss some people off. This is, again, I repeat, this is not about a person or persons or about any particular channel or channels. This is about spell casting, the subject, okay? Now, first off, we don't know what we're doing. So we're going to be clumsy at the best because it takes practice to nail in a nail without hitting your thumb, without doing this, without bending the nail, all of the above. So if you're clumsy at something, should you really try it without practice? But now you're going to practice in something that's sort of leaning and is in the dark arts. It's lower energy vibrations. Now, you might say, Hawkeye, Mr. Dave, what do you mean lower energy vibrations? Okay, let me put this one out to you. Did Buddha, in his enlightenment, need to spellcast to reach his enlightenment? Did Jesus cast spells upon the masses? Did he recite did he spellcast? Any of the great prophets, did they use magic to do what they did? Or was it the person and their essence and the word and the message about spirituality? So now with that said, number one, you're going to be clumsy at it unless you practice. And what are the repercussions of your mistakes? You're going to leave bent nails everywhere practicing how to spell cast. Bad idea, right? Now you think about spiritual leaders. Did any of them have to spell cast? They were casting out devils and demons and stuff like that. But were they casting spells? No. So this idea, if you wish to become a higher spiritual being, then why would you depend on something that great folks saw no need in it? It was unnecessary to use this kind of, quote, magic. So we think about great prophets and shamans and the people that I've known. I'm thinking about them, and they're like, they've done some magical things, but it was more to like see into the future for a person or to help someone along a thing. But here's the thing. Of all the shamans, and I met one who got talked into doing something he shouldn't have done, and he went from white wolf to gray wolf. It was a bad transition, and it happened right before my eyes. But anyway, anything. Well, I want to do a love potion. I want to do a spell to get somebody to like me. We're asking to do something. We're going to perform an act to try to force an issue into the universe. We want to force our whatever onto someone, something, or to the universe that if it wasn't destined to be, hey, little frog. Oh, and that's a real tree frog. You know, the other night I pulled a frog card. There's a tree frog sitting down here on the floor. Hi, tree frog. It's a frog, not a toad frog. But anyway, hi, frog. I noticed there was going to be some rain in Washington and possibly Oregon. Maybe our little prayer worked the other night. We should say it again. But anyway, I lost my train of thought. Messing with things that you don't understand is a bad idea. We don't know what our repercussions are. But people think, well, wait a minute, I want this guy to like me. Then just be yourself and try not to force the issue. If it ain't meant to be, it ain't meant to be. Because if you try to force it in any way, shape, or form, it will come back on you in spades. Okay? We cannot force anything. We can ask the universe for help, for guidance. If I was looking for a mate, I'd say, help me find my soulmate. So I'm send this out there. I've given up, by the way, but I've given up looking. Not that she isn't out there. But the idea, though, that if the universe says it's time, then it's time. If it's not, it's not. And whatever we try to do to force it only brings back things to us. And I'm trying to remember I think his name is Thomas Sheridan. And he has his own channel, but I don't know if it's Thomas Sheridan is the YouTube channel, but he's over in the UK and Ireland and over in there. And he talks about, curses and people who do things and they don't understand the repercussions of what, just making a sigil and wishing this on someone. It's that it will come back on you and yours. It isn't just you. But if whatever it is, if you're trying to force an issue, and if you're trying to get somebody to like you, or you want your boss to give you more money, or you want to do and if you're looking at a situation, and if you understand economics, you could probably see you ain't going to get no more money out of this job. You're going to have to do something else, make a lateral move, do something that will increase your chances. But if you're going to I'm going to do this magic spell, this happened to a friend of mine years ago. I can bring it up. And I looked at him and said, now, do you really think that's going to do? Because the market can't bear any of us getting a raise, not even a nickel, when you look at how the market was on our jobs and so forth. Be lucky you got what you got. Well, I think we should get more. Well, so do I. But right now, we're getting paid better than a lot of other folks in the community. And although there are people in bigger towns that are getting more money, we need to shut up and not press the issue. I'd rather have the job than not, well, we should be getting $10.50 an hour, not $9.50. Okay. But $9.50 when everybody else is getting $7 is a really good deal. So hush, let's not rock this boat because they will pull up stakes and go someplace else. So, but anyway, and many of us were right, not just myself, but many of us were right on that. And better to have that $9.50, $10 an hour, in your hand every week, and your boss man and all that, and than to go, well, I think we should get $1 more. Shut up. Anyway, especially when you're not being mistreated and the working conditions were good to fair to good to almost excellent in some instances. So anyway. So, but in this spell casting, I know there are people who's like, well, I want my boss to like me better. Well, then do your job without bitching all the time. Well, I want to cast a spell so that all my coworkers will like me better. Well, if you would quit being an asshole, which you won't look at yourself and go, maybe they don't like me because I'm an asshole. Sorry about but you have to do the inside work. So people want to project their feelings. Well, these people don't like me, and I'm going to do this thing to make them like me, and I'm going to do this thing and protect them, blah, blah, blah. It's all about trying to force somebody else to do something. You can't do that. It's against the natural laws of stuff. So, regardless of who's trying to do it or convince you that this is a good idea, you have to think about the laws of nature. If you wish to achieve a higher spiritual level, do you need any contraptions? Do you need a hammer and a nail to meditate? No, you close your eyes and sit still for a few minutes. Well, but no, I have to have this and I got to do a spell and I got to call the Great Spirit. And all. If you realize that when you reach a certain point in your spiritual growth, you'll understand Creator's always there. We're always attached to the source. All we have to do is realize it, understand it, accept and receive. Oh, but that sounds, that's too easy. But it ain't. But it is. It is too easy, but it's not. Because in accepting and receiving the energy from the universe, you will quickly, when you really get it, I realize that, sometimes, before I'd say, well, I can't do this without my drum. And I'd go, well, wait a minute, but my drum it's been damp here in the house because of all the rain. So it's thunk, 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 and it needs to dry out a day or two. So, but before I go, oh, I got to dry the drum. I can't do this without the drum. And if I don't have my this, and if I don't have my that, hang on. It's good to have those things, but it isn't always necessary. I got the hiccups. Hang on. It isn't always necessary. But having a favorite stone, or like I've got some sage here that I'm going to relight, just to I ask the spirits to help me speak correctly on this and distinctly, and not waver around too much on the subject. And I'm going to get to the chat here in a few minutes. Hi everybody in there. I'm trying to keep my brain from jumping around. That was my prayer before I started this. So I got some sage I'm burning here. And I've already, north, south, east, west, up, down, and inside. There's 7 directions, by the way. Not 4, not 6, but 7. So some would say, well, but, if you're giving, thanks to the directions, isn't that like, you're doing like the sign of the cross, or you're making a cross and you're doing isn't that like no, I'm just saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm not trying to bend anything in the universe to what I think it should be. So there are people who think about manifesting. So it's like, so manifesting something and doing and spell casting is trying to make the universe do what you want it to do. And it's like my old example many months back when I was talking about this. And I said, there are people who say I need a card. But somebody says, well, here's a Chevy. Well, I really wanted a Ford. But I got the Chevy. But no, I'm going to hold out for a Ford. Wait a minute. So we are too particular. Many people are too particular. If you need a ride, then ask for a ride. And you'd be surprised to get a ride. But if you put anything more into it, well, I want this, and it's got to be blue, and I really want it to have mag wheels on the back, and, I want it with a 357 mag, and oh, hush up. So can we be thankful for what does come our way versus, well, I don't know, I'm going to manifest this. Well, but maybe you don't get it because you're manifesting something that you've passed several other things by that weren't maybe to your liking or whatever, because you were insisting on it being this way. Just saying. So in any kind of spell casting, and let me say this right here, right now, 12 people here. Let me say hi to everybody. It has to do with blood. If I forget what's going on, somebody just go blood, okay? Hey, Project Skyfalls. Yeah, too much drama, right, Project? I agree with you. and don't do magic. Have to be in the flow of life. Hi, Alex. And right. Hey, Marie. Don't look a gift horse in the mouth. Exactly. Um, it's all right to wish for something and work towards it, but there are people who are so specific about a certain thing. But I go, but hang on, well, I didn't get what I wished for. I know, because you let all this other stuff go by. But anyway, if we are strong with our trust and faith in the spirits, we can protect ourselves and do many things to push off negativity. Right, Teresa, and I'm going to get to that. I wanted to set up this first. Max Vision, I found coworker's debt card yesterday and he bought me a coffee today. There you go. It pays itself. Delaney's in the house. Hey, Delaney, how are you? Barry, Chad as well. Alex, Teresa. Yep. Is there an Amber in there somewhere? Oh, Intuitive Empath. Hi. Right. I would agree with you, Intuitive. It's okay to ask for what you want, but make sure it is in favor of everyone. Well, at least that it's in a positive way to the universe. But yeah, yep, very much I agree. I can't believe I believe we can manifest, but we have to be clear and involve everyone in their best interest. Yeah, exactly. If you're wishing for something that really is, and you have to be, oh my God, you have to use common sense. We have lost common sense in this country. But let me tell you something about this other thing, though. It has also come to my attention, not naming names or channels, this has to do with the subject. If anything that you do requires your blood, stop it. Do you hear me? If anything that you're doing requires a sacrifice of anything, no. Now, if you're going to cut an apple in half and offer the apple as a quote sacrifice, or okay, but that's not a sacrifice. That's an offering. That's an honoring. But if anything at all requires your blood, stop what you're doing. That is the lowest form of energy, and you have no idea what you're getting into. To light a candle and do some stuff and wave a little this and that and say a spell, that's one thing. But if you add blood to something, oh no. All the shamans and everyone I spoke to, it's like, now the only reason a shaman would ask for blood is if the person that they were treating or wanted to see a vision or whatever, it was required for that. Nothing else. You're not required by any law of nature to give blood, period. And if you think that's going to get you into a higher realm, think about where this blood lives. All you got to do is think Dracula, and that should be the answer. No blood, any ceremony. Now, I did a ceremony here on the earth, but it was for the place, and it required a little bit of blood. But I knew it going in. I understood it going in, but it was to sanctify and put my blood, my magic, my energy into the place that is supposed to be magical and with a lot of energy, right? But for any other reason, there is no thing that would require blood. Now, there are some shaman traditions of things that it requires a little blood with a little this and that. There are rare instances, but those with some of the people that I've talked to are very questionable and should be avoided, because sometimes those shamans have crossed that line. Now, there are times when it's necessary. If you're sick with an illness or something, you need a little blood, you mix it in, blah, 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 and then pray, but that's different. You're not taking blood to do a sacrifice, okay? It's part of the ceremony, and there is a big difference. So if anything you're doing, regardless of who, what, or where, requires blood, please, Jesus, stop it. Okay? I can't say anything more about that, but just stop it. Because you're allowing the blood to mix in with us, that you're nailing nails and you don't have a clue. So you're going to add your lifeblood and essence to, oh, no, 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 no. It also invites other critters to come and look for you, find you, tease you, overtake you, overpower you. And, God, I don't, oh man. They want me to say something and I'm trying. Okay. All right. I've asked for help tonight to make sure I say this correctly. Brian and I spoke about this off camera many times before he made his transition. And there are certain people and their channels that we felt that they had stopped growing, that somehow they were stuck in the mud, they were repeating themselves. And we have talked about this openly, not to be any, there are several, it ain't one or two, but it's several. But in our discussion, we were like, when we talk about stuff, we want to look towards the future. We don't want to get stuck in the mud. You know, we want to make sure that we are trying to, okay, here's our problem. Let's see if there's a way out of this. You know, if you're stuck in a hole in the ground, you know, people say, I can't get out. Well, is it dirt? Well, yeah. Well, then when I was a kid, we dug holes in the ground all the time. To get in and out of the hole, you dug in my well. There are holes in the side of the well, so I could crawl in my well without a ladder. Okay. I could just crawl inside the well because there are handholds in there. Some of them are still there after 30 years. But the idea, though, that, you know, some folk we felt had somehow been touched by the other side. And both of us were concerned because at one time we both, over our spiritual development and YouTube and so forth, really recognized these people and said, you know, we have respect and honor. And then all of a sudden there was a point where we just went, what? Wait a minute. I ain't naming names because there are more than one or two or three or four. Okay. But, and especially with the amount of channels that I monitor. But Thomas Sheridan puts it really simple. He goes, Earth magic is earth magic, and it's available to us all the time. You know, there are PowerPoints on the planet. There are rocks and things and trees and stuff that you can help us with it. But what do we want? If we try to manifest something that doesn't really is supposed to be like natural, now the spirit can lead you to do things. Now, one could say that's manifesting. Well, you know, I was led to do these videos. Or people who, you know, think I'm an idiot and crazy and all that good stuff. I was told that. Me and someone discussed that on the phone today, and it's like, yes, that's true. But at the same time, you say, well, I have to have faith in the spirit, and I have to have faith, and I have to just, you know, and I had to put down all the tools, if you will. And I realized a long time ago that spells and that kind of thing, sigils. I have warned people about sigils. If you got them, be careful how you get rid of them, but get rid of them. Okay, don't keep them around, because a sigil might work for a day, but if you're trying to imprint something, you got no clue what you're doing. Be careful. Don't meddle in things you don't have a clue. Somebody says, well, you know, my car broke down, and you lift up the hood and go, well, you know, I think it's the battery. You know, well, the car is turning over. Maybe it's the clutch. It's an automatic. What's wrong with the thing? I don't know. Maybe it's the carburetor. It's out of gas. So not everybody is as smart to look at the gas gauge, but so what does this mean? People will meddle in things. They lift up the hood of something, open up a book and go, look, this must be a good idea. We can protect ourselves against evil with more spells. No. Buddha and them folks, nope. Didn't use any kind of magic spells. No. Krishna and others, no. They used the power of the mind without spell casting, without any heebie-jeebie stuff, through meditation and self-awareness and enlightenment. They didn't need spells. They didn't need tools. They didn't need their blood. So if you're interested in being a higher spiritual being, consider what this means. Instead of being more like a Buddha or a higher spiritual being in that realm, you wish to give your blood to a spell so that you can be a higher being. And I would ask this question. A higher being in what realm? Because if you're going to be doing spells and giving blood, you're not going to be in the same place that I hope and intend to go. It's because it's not allowed. That's really low fourth dimension. Nope. You're seeking the help of entities and energies when if you understood how powerful you really were, you'd go, that's really not necessary, is it? No. But the biggest thing is that the people who want to do this have problems. They have fears. They don't trust themselves. They don't trust their own inner core. You always hear me talking about, but it's important. If you are strong with who you are, and a person, we talked about it, and it is about an ego. We have to have enough ego to be able to stand up and go, I'm sorry, but this is how I feel. Now, that don't mean you're out protesting or beating somebody else in the head going, you're going to listen to my opinion. No, it means that you are strong enough with your own self. There's a video of a lady who got out of the car and told this guy to get down on the ground. He thought he was trying to light a fire, an arsonist out in California. Maybe you all seen it. And she walks out there like, man, you better get down on the ground. Now, she's got enough ego to go, listen here, buddy, we're going to talk here. And that's my property. You trying to set it on fire? So she didn't fire at him or anything like that, but she told him to get down on the ground, on the floor, I think she said. But here's the point. So we have to have enough confidence within ourselves and that ego to say, I'm strong enough to be able to go, hey, what are you doing over there? You better stop that versus, well, I don't know, they might hurt me, but of course you did have a gun in her hand. But to the point though, sometimes you have to have, the old joke about the mule and the farmer, and there's a city slicker driving by and he looks over there and here's a farmer that he's out in the field and he's got this 2x4 and he is whacking the bejeebers out of this mule on his forehead, right? And the city slicker gets out and runs over to the fence. He goes, hey, what do you think you're doing with that 2x4 and that mule? And the farmer looks over at him. He said, I'm trying to get his attention. Now, for those of you who like, mules are stubborn. So he's using a 2x4 to get his attention. So if the mule don't want to go anywhere, you can hit him any way you want to. Now, that's stubborn, but that's a little bit of ego, too. He's like, I'm sorry, I ain't going, But the farmer is like casting a spell going, you're coming with me, bub, and reluctantly, usually the mule ends up going. But the idea of trying to cast anything means you wish to change the outcome of something, whatever it is, or how someone feels about you or doesn't feel about you or whatever. And the thing is, you have no idea what those repercussions could be. You can say, well, I want people to like me, or I'm going to use a warding spell so that if people that get near me with bad energy will back away. There are a lot of people that then is going to stay away from you, and that mess is going to come back on you because you're forcing an issue. Now, if you're strong enough with your own energy and who you are, you will glow. And no matter who gets near you, they can try to get in, and you might have to slap their hand away and tell them no. And you might have to tell them no 2 or 3 times. But the thing is that are you strong enough to go, sorry, what are you trying to do over here? Oh, well, I need a spell to protect me. Then you fear your own faith in your own spiritualism, that you gotta have a cross to protect you against the demons. That's not true. The cross is within us. The protection is within us. It's our soul. It's our energy. It's our spirit. And oh my God, you want to turn it over to some kind of spell casting? Get a grip. Please tell your friends this is a very bad idea. Now, I'm trying to remember his name again. The guy over in UK over there, Thomas Sheridan. And he's written several books, and he used to tour over here. He's toured over here in the United States and talking about, occult things and this and that and the other thing. And the thing is that anytime you mess in any kind of wordplay, now I pray that California gets rain. Nothing wrong there. California needs it. Now, if I want to say I went all the, I don't know, that's a bad analogy. But anyway, there are things that we can say, yes, I hope this happens. And maybe our little prayer the other night with the frogs sent water up towards, there's some rain coming into Washington State up there. And anyway, let's hope it continues. But so was part of our prayer heard? I'd kind of like, ain't that interesting? Within a day or two, this front moves in. All right. But to have enough faith within yourself. So these people have a deep fear. Think about this. And a deep fear that they're not good enough because they don't believe they can do it on their own without some kind of shortcut, some kind of something to help them get along. And when you realize that, whoops, I don't need any of that. Now, having crystals and sage and stuff around, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not sitting down casting a spell towards something. I will make a wish, if you will, to the universe, very general, like I wish to go kayaking soon. Now that we have water in the river and the weather's cooling down, I wish to go camping. But I'm like, well, I'm going to go camping. Well, I wish to. It might rain some more, and the river might be too high. So, but I'm going to wish that I'm going to go. And a friend of mine contacted me the other day, and it'd be really great to see him. So maybe that's my birthday wish. That's been, y'all have heard me. What I want for my birthday is for some folks to go kayaking with me. That's what I want. I want to share the outdoors and the experience. That's what I want. But $100 bills would be. I'm kidding. But this idea, though, that we must say certain things and to push and force our will to the universe by speaking these things and to make a sacrifice? No native shaman would ever kill anything. I mean, that's the rule of the universe, the number one law. Do no harm. So if you got to do harm to anything to get what you want done, you got to think this is the wrong energy. This is the wrong road. This is not higher level spiritualism. This is relying on medieval, archaic, and stuff. Please don't do it. Tell your friends, refer them to this. But there are so many levels of the reasons why not that most people, I didn't consider it back when I was doing stuff like that. And I look back on it now and go, what a flipping idiot I was to try that stuff. It was insane. What was I? I wasn't thinking. I thought, well, this looks cool, and other people have done it before, and why not try it myself? And no, no, oh no, you have no idea what can tag onto your spirit, and you get stuck with it for a long time, and it's hard to get rid of them things. And you say, well, I didn't do anything. Did you add blood to something? Yeah. Now they can smell you. I mean, they could kind of get a really good whiff before, but now you added your own blood to whatever it is you're doing. They can smell you, taste you, and they can't wait to sink their fangs into you. Now, when I did that, and it was a small amount of blood that I used in the ceremony that I did back on the river, but I was consecrating a sacred circle. And so consecrating a sacred circle and adding a drop of blood to it to prove that I was sincere with my own blood. This is my sacrifice, my blood. Nobody else, nothing else is harmed during the commission of this ceremony. But it was sort of like my thumbprint, if you will, in wax or something. That's how but the idea of blood in any other thing, and I wouldn't consider using blood again unless it was necessary for the ceremony, and it would really have to be necessary, because I understand the importance of when we give our blood and our essence on our things. And it is very, very, very few times. And it's only by trained personnel, I have to add. If you're new at this, stay out. Because even though I was seriously under training with a person who was living here with me for many months, and we spent hours and days and weeks and months, and I was still a newbie when I got to my doing these ceremonies. Even though I'd practiced it, rehearsed, and I knew a lot of these things, and there were times when the shaman would look at me and he'd go, how do you know that? Who taught you that? And I go, Creator, Great Spirit, grandmother, grandfather, what? But no one taught you how to do this. Nope. Well, okie dokie. And that was one of the things that there were times he goes, I don't know if you've had enough time, he was speaking to me, after several months to let you in on some of this stuff. And I was like, well, okay, you share with me what you think I'm prepared to understand. But then when he stayed with me and we were down in the woods and we opened up this area and did the consecrate and all that, he realized, he said, you were somebody else in another life. You know too much. And I talked to you all before about I had this dream that I was somehow connected to this grass dancer. And I had this dream and a staff and a thing. I even there's sort of like a picture of the staff he was carrying. And then later on in another dream, I realized here recently, I hadn't spoke about this, but that I was that Indian in another life. And I was like, what? Because I just thought the grass dancer, and I spoke about the grass dancer in a video about the grass dancer, and that I just thought it was a spirit contacting me, and there was a message and all that. And then here very recently, within like the last month, I realized that the grass dancer was actually me in a previous life. So I was like, is that why there are certain things that the shaman was to teach me that I already knew? And he went, that's insanity. You're not supposed to know that. Anyway. So, but here's the thing. I want my kid to go to a better school, so I'm going to do a spell. Why don't you just put it out there with a good intent? Well, I'm going to do a spell and light a candle and do all these things because I want my child to go to this school and they're going to, and there are people like that. And the thing is like, well, maybe that's not the best thing for your child. Maybe the best thing is to let nature and the universe unfold for whomever, Well, now, if the child says, I'm going to Harvard, well, then, okay, work it out. But if mama says my child's going to Harvard and the child's going, yeah, okay, then maybe that's not what the universe wants. You know what I mean? So people are forcing things in all kinds of different ways to say, well, I think this way. Why don't you? No, the free will says you can't tamper with anybody's thoughts. That's against the rule of one, because you don't have a clue what harm it's going to do. Now, I prayed that my granddaughter would quit stripping and hanging on and pole dancing, but if that's what she's going to do, then she's going to do it. Of course, she's in prison now from her bad behavior. And I saw it coming, warned her, prayed, and she said, tell Grandpa I love him and I think about him all the time. And I'm always sending, I knew when my granddaughter was 2, and I've warned her all these 20-something years, but she's got to learn on her own. So what we want and what we wish for, and sometimes you just have to let the universe work it out, because people have a free will. So my reason for saying that this is against the law, in that if you're wanting to change someone's mind, now, having discussed this earlier, there's a difference. When I say a prayer, there's a frog on the outside too, on the window over there. Man, we got all kinds of frogs tonight. He's on the outside, one on the inside. Is the one in here lost? If I see him, I'll put him out later. But it's really wet outside. Anytime we try to sway a person's opinion, now, for example, if somebody, for example, all right, I'm still registered as a Democrat, but I ain't a Democrat anymore. Not what they talk about. So, but in saying, well, I wish all my Democratic friends would turn Republican. That's you can't do that, because you're forcing something against their will. But you can have a prayer and go, I hope that my Democratic friends will see the light. Now, it could be any light, but that and you go, well, does that mean you want to become a Republican? Not necessarily. Does it mean that you want them to vote like you? Not necessarily. No. But I would like for them to open their eyes and go, maybe I'm doing the wrong thing here, versus, oh, I'm right about this, and the rest of you people are Nazis. Yeah, on Facebook, now I'm a Nazi because I'm not supporting Biden. Holy crap. How did I become a Nazi all of a sudden? Okay, all right. And those are my Democratic friends calling me a Nazi. Stop it. I'm the old hippie in the woods. I'm the tree hugging hippie guy. What are you talking about? How did I become a Nazi? Because I changed my mind and I don't think like you folks. So now I don't wish them harm, although a couple of them I'd like to slap to get their attention like a mule. But I'm more intent on, I pray that God will enlighten you, and enlighten you about what? It's sort of a broad stroke versus I want y'all to become Republicans. You know what I mean? I want y'all to think like me. Can't do that. We can pray for their enlightenment. We can pray that they will understand. We can, differently. We can pray that they will see another point of view. That's not forcing them. You're asking the universe to give them the opportunity. It's their free will. But if you want them to change their mind, now in the back of my head, when I'm sending this little prayer out, I wish that God will enlighten these people. I'm kind of wanting them to change their mind, but I can't think that. I cannot put that in my intent. I have to, and believe it, because you want to be angry and go, these damn fools, I wish they, blah, blah, blah. Can't do that. You have to say, okay, to all these people who are crazy, whacked out I pray the Creator will just enlighten them to another point of view and leave it at that. Because that would be forcing my will. Then I wanted to think of that. No, just enlighten them. Just show them another way. That, just that, no decision here. I didn't say what point of view. Just show them another one. It's open to the universe. And you say, well, aren't you still wishing? Well, there's a little tiny bit of me that's wishing they'd change their mind and look at, but I want them to do it on their own. I don't want the universe to change their mind because I want them to. No, I want the universe to show them maybe there's another point of view or another way or avenue or something like that. So I'm leaving the trick of free will open versus the other is pushing the idea that you want to force these folks to your will. And that's just wrong. You can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Protect yourself. Stay good within yourself. And if somebody's after you, do like that woman said, that, on that video, get down on the floor. And what you doing with them matches? Because they might be trying to burn your spirit down, your soul. And people say, well, this doesn't really matter, does it? You go tinkering with the dark side of things, and I'm here to tell you, things will attach to your soul and that you really don't want it to. Hi, Max. How are you? Let's see. I ask that people get exposure to truth. They can take it or not. Right, Max. Exactly. You just will the source where the Creator will somebody just shine a little light on these folk and just let them, yep. Exposure to it, something click. My prayer has been sometimes, which is a little forceful in a way, I pray that people will open their minds and their hearts. Well, if they want to be closed-minded and hold off their heart, that's sort of, their thing. But, I'm like, okay, so I still pray for that. I pray that people's minds and hearts will open up. Am I being willing? Am I saying a spell? I'm just hoping people will open their minds and hearts. Okay. They still have free will versus me trying to force them to change. Anyway, so Max, how are you? It's good to see you all. This subject came up, and as soon as I heard it, Barry Chad, you're absolutely right. Or karmic reversal gets you. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to remember his name. Hi, Truth in Me. Thomas Sheridan. And he's like, people want to use this magic. And he goes, some of these people have done these things and they cursed another family or a person in a family. But what happened is that the curse came back on the person and the family through more than one generation. So the curse might have worked for a short time, but it came back on the family the person who started it, and they were cursed with the backlash of the karma. So it's like, yes, to that point, yes. Things are inverted in this realm. In a lot of ways they are, but see, there is a merging, I don't know if it's timelines, but I think it does have to do with timelines in that the more some people understand some things and they just look at it and go, wait a minute, what? I think I knew this all along, but all of a sudden it just hits you in the head going, wow, I knew this all along, but now it really makes sense. So with that said, what is the thing? So it is free will what these powers that be are trying to do. The powers that be are trying to take our free will away. They're trying to force us in everything. Teresa says, I do not believe I can be harmed by someone casting a spell on me because I asked Creator for protection. Now, to, I've had folks casting negative spells upon me and upon the shaman. And I got to say that you may not be, how do I put this? You may fend off the attack personally, but there are residuals around you that, in a way, you really can't control because they've asked other powers to intervene. Now, you yourself may be protected, but there may be, and I can't, I hadn't really thought about it trying to explain this, but I have had people cast negative spells against me and literally wish demons to come in. And, it's one thing for them just to be out there, but if somebody is honest to God and using their blood to do it kind of thing, that's a whole nother level of just like wishing bad luck on somebody. But, it came back on these people in spades, by the way, without us having to do anything. But it disrupted what they did, disrupted a whole bunch of stuff, took things and made them go backwards in a spiral. It was really crazy. Max says, one of my sacrifices was getting hit by a car. Right, Max. I've had my share of, sacrifices and and I agree with you, Teresa, but somebody who, me being a person who actually had spells cast on them and like how things are now, I know there are negative spirits out there, but what was going on then, let me tell you, it was some brutal stuff. That's why I lit some sage before I even started this live stream. But anyway. My ex-girlfriends, are you talking to me, Project? During this pandemic, says Max, I asked that some people slip up and I had to make the sacrifice of slip up in my life. I understand. Yeah, Teresa. See, well, here's the thing. This has been many years ago. So I'm just learning to be a shaman. I'm just learning this other thing. I'm like fasting and doing these things and down in the woods and meditating for literally days before a ceremony. And, I'm working on my regalia and I'm, seriously doing this like full time. And so being new in this, and then while I was learning these particular steps, there were people casting spells against us, not just me, but against us. And in that, you just have to go, but wait a minute. So it's like you're actively seeking the good when the only thing that comes at you is the bad because somebody's trying to push it on you. They're forcing the bad. Well, I'm looking for the good angel here, and the only thing that shows up is this demon, right? And you go, wait a minute, that's not what I asked for. And then you realize, well, is it me messing up? And then you find out later on, somebody's actually conjuring these demons to come and appear instead of what you're actually praying for, kind of thing. So it's very weird. I pray that no one out there will have anybody casting spells against them. But at the same time, I can tell before I even started this video, just by putting it in the title, I thought I could feel a tension. And I was like, I'm lighting sage right now. I want y'all to know, y'all are asking me to do this. Okie dokie. I see the importance of it now. But here's the thing, my friends. Some of these people are looking for spirituality and they think that there are shortcuts. There aren't any. We have to do the work. Max knows, if you're still here, Max knows. And most of the, Teresa says, I'm listening, Dave. I know you are. One of my sacrifices. Okay, I bet the words, how they cast spells on you. Yeah. No shortcuts. There are none. And there are people who keep talking about going to the fifth dimension. Well, you just need to go, okay, that's nice. Don't fall into the trap, please. We must go through the fourth. Everybody's got to go through the fourth. We leave no soul behind is supposedly what the deal is. So, which is interesting, speaking souls, and I was just, we leave no soul behind. A friend of mine who visits me on a regular basis, and we've had talks, and I spoke about her in roundabout ways, and I'm not mentioning names because some people, it's just confidential. But anyway, I can talk about a subject without, mentioning their name or where they live or anything like that. Anyway, but she called me up today and said, I'm going to be late coming. And because my brother died last night. And I was like, what? She goes, yeah, he was heading home, stopped at on his way home down near Valdosta, Georgia. Stopped in in a quick mark there, Raceway, I think she said, to get a drink, and got back in the truck and was feeling bad and was on the phone to a friend or a cousin or somebody. And they thought that his phone was going out because his speech was slurred. Well, they found him dead in his truck this morning. He had an apparent aneurysm, and so he died right there in the truck. And it was like talking to one of his relatives. And it's like, we never know when our number's up. And I've always thought, I've had over 20 head concussions, seriously. Some of them a lot worse than others, but 20, yes. More like 27. But anyway, that's 72 backwards, ain't it? Anyway, but the idea, though, that what does our spirit go? What does our spirit do? So we were talking about that. And I said, her daughter, who's very intelligent, just had a birthday on September 11th. What a day to have a birthday, but she's a delightful young lady, smart as a whip, and her and her friends and folks like her, I'm encouraged by the younger generation, not these folks that are out there now, because these kids that are 10, 11, 12 years old are looking at their older ones going, you people are nuts. And I applaud them. Anyway, and they're smart too. She's talking about taking engineering and building bridges. And I'm like, I didn't take that until I was a senior in high school. They wouldn't let us, what? Anyway, so I'm glad about that. And she's excited about learning about engineering and how to build a bridge. And I'm like, you go, girl. So there's hope. There's still hope out there. And not really interested in playing games or being on the phone all the time and chatting with their friends. I mean, I'm like, there's hope. Oh, thank you, Jesus, But anyway, so with our thoughts and what we wish to control, we have to be careful because it takes work. Thank you, Max. Back me up on this. I think the fourth is letting go of past stuff. Actually, yes, the lower fourth, but more in the fourth dimension, people are going to see those critters that live in the lower fourth dimension. They're going to see these things, not dream about them or, watch a movie about them. They're going to experience it. And many folks are going to crap their immortal pants. So, but that's why I have said for a long time, you just can't, here's a swimming pool. You don't go to the top of the 10-foot diving board and jump in the deep end. You gotta get in the shallow end and kick your feet, get your feet wet, learn what the water is. And then at that point, yes, I do have ringing in my head from all the head trauma, Al. I actually do. And that's the reason why I've had seizures, and I still have a type of narcolepsy that I refuse to let it take over me, but sometimes it does. But I also consider those times to be, dream walks, vision walks, a time to spend with the spirits, because there are times when I wake up and I go, man, I don't know where I was or what I was doing or where I've been, but let me tell you, My head's so full of stuff, it'll take a day to like, wait a minute, wasn't that in that dream? Yeah, that was about that. Oh, holy crap, I need to talk about that. We need to bring that up in the thing. And, so, but anyway, yeah, ringing in my head. Yeah. A little bit now, by the way. And forgiveness and patience. Yes. Hope you got a cake. Oh, you hope I get a cake? Thank you. Why do people get concussions? Different reasons. I was telling my friends today, they were like, what? And I said, yeah. I'm several years ago, I walked out the back door right out here. There's a big oak tree that overhangs the house and the shed. And I walked out to get firewood of all things, and I heard this crack. And I went to look up and didn't see it, but I felt it. This huge oak limb. And I mean, it was like this big around on the end. And it was like 15 feet long. So you say, well, it was just a stick. Oh, no, it wasn't. This was a limb. Hit me on the head, knocked me out, laid me flat on the ground on my face with this tree limb over my neck and shoulders. And I woke up whatever time later. I remember it was cold outside, reason I was getting firewood. And I woke up because I was cold. And I was like, what's this tree limb doing on me? What the hell? So that's one, So, but you get head concussions when your brain hits the inside of your skull and it dents your brain. And sometimes it causes a bruise. So if you know what a bruise looks like on you somewhere, think about the bruises in the brain. And so depending on where you get hit and how and what the repercussion is, that gives you the concussion. And because of the different sections of the brain, different things get affected. So I went through a period of time when it was like all I could do to talk. I mean, I was like, and I've been a puppeteer and storyteller for years. And, talking, as you all know, is easy for me. But I had reached this particular point where I couldn't put two sentences together. I mean, I was like, you remember that time when, and I was like, oh, this ain't good. So when I talk about my years of being my time of being in the wheelchair and almost, passing out of this life, I was in a really bad spot. Couldn't talk, couldn't speak, couldn't drive, couldn't do anything. All I could do was slobber a lot, and have seizures. That was a lot of fun. Not, but in that I still learned some stuff. But maybe it took another bonk in the head for me to hit the other side of the head. But I pictured things ever since I had my leg broken in high school. I pictured things like, and I've mentioned this before, like Bob the Builder. So if something's wrong, whoever Bob the Builder is in my body, I send out this team of guys. Okay, now if it's bone, they need to go out there with some spackle, and if there's something else that needs done, well, they'll go in there and fix it with lasers or whatever, And so I envision these little critters in my head going to work, and that it's Bob the Builder and guys, and they know what they're doing. I don't have to give them instructions. I have to just encourage them to fix my knee, fix this, I mean, when I was bleeding, fix this, blah, blah. So that's how I seem to have gotten by with all the injuries that I've received. And so when it came time for me to fix my brain, I had to say, okay, we need to work on this. And it took a good year before I could even talk again. And then I realized, okay, this requires practice. I need to do games like Mahjong. I need to play against the thing. And I need to do things that will help me, to get my brain back and to have conversation again. And I quit doing puppets. I quit doing this. I quit doing that. Because all these little doors in my brain, somebody had closed them all. And I've talked about this before, way back. But in my head, somebody might say, well, you're multiple personality. We all are up to a point. But there's the carpenter, there's the electrician, there's the actor and puppeteer guy, there's the politician, there's the public speaker, there's this guy. All of these folks reside in me, or my talents, if you will. And due to the accident, I could picture me being in a room, and I could see the doors. And I could tell there was stuff behind it, meaning my talents, memories. I used to be able to know how to change a tire. I don't even know. I mean, seriously, a friend of mine and I talked about this several years ago. Both of us were mechanics, and he looked at me and he goes, sometimes, that thing that looks like a cross that you take tires off? I said, you mean a lug wrenching? And he goes, yeah. He goes, why can't I remember that? He goes, we've both been mechanics for years. He's got cars. He's got a car in my yard, actually. And I was like, there are times when I can see it, look at it, and go, but I think I know how to use one. When was the last? I don't know. And you get so caught up in that, it's a lug wrench. Yeah, but. So anyway, and he's had injury. He has had head injuries also. So there's a lot of people that I have been in contact over the years when we talk about TBI, traumatic brain injuries. There are a lot of correlations between some of these things, how we perceive things, how we understand things. I mean, some things, I used to be a whiz at certain computer things. I could take a computer apart and put it back together, blah, 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 change this out, do this, blah, blah, blah. And now I look at it and go, I used to know, and somewhere in one of those doors in my mind is the knowledge that it's still there, but somehow the door got closed. So in the last few years, my internal processing has been to go around to these doors and open them up and go, okay, I used to be able to do this. I used to know how to jump. And I don't mean like, long jump. I mean, just jump up and grab a leaf out of an apple, out of a pear, out of a tree. Can't do it. I go out and I go, what's this? And my feet never leave the ground. When did I forget how to jump? I don't know. But to my point, though, I still have the information. I've somehow, the mechanics has gotten twisted, or the wires aren't going through. But if I practice it, I'm going to jump. Okay, well, first we do it like this. Let's think about the mechanics of how we do it. All right, you bend your knees a little bit and you do this thing. Okay, we watch a frog. Well, okay, the frog did it. I should be able to. But so you go through this process and reteach yourself. You do this, you spring up, and then you leave the ground. You propel yourself upwards. Don't care if it's but that much. Leave the ground. And you go, wow. All of a sudden, you kind of remember, not that I'm going around jumping for things, but my point is that I had to literally go through every single step. Now, in industrial therapy and physical therapy and stuff like that, so it's like you want to learn how to use your hand. I was a physical therapist assistant. I worked for years doing this. I had my own leg that I had to have years of physical therapy with. So I'm not perfect, but I know a lot. But in physical therapy, you always start with the simplest of motions. So you want to grab something. Okay, then learn how to just move your fingers. You don't try to grab something. No, let's start with the fingers. Let's reconnect to the fingers, all right? And let's do this number. All right. And so as you reconnect to things, so you say, well, you're talking about this, Hawkeye. What does this have to do with spirituality? Max, you tell them. It's about practice. It's teaching yourself, okay, there's this connection. You might not remember how to do it, but if you practice moving your finger, if you practice moving two of them, then after a while you move them and you're doing this. Then the next thing is you start out with very small incidents of practice so that you show that you can achieve it. If you say, well, my goal is to grab onto a bar and pull myself up, good. But you're not just good if you've had issues in talking about, therapy. But first you have to get your hands to working, and next you have to get your fingers stronger, and it's a progress. Now you can do it over a period of time. It might be that you can retrain yourself very quickly, depending on the accident or the incident or the condition. It might take you a while. But I've learned how to walk again. I've learned how to talk again. I've learned how to do a lot of things. I'm waiting. I really want to go kayaking again, and the weather has changed, so good for that. But yeah, Max says, doing the work. You got to do the work. And for those who think that there's a shortcut in any of it, there's just not. And the simplest thing I can say for those who are like trying to take the shortcut, in the time that you waste trying to take the shortcut, you can get there. You can get a lot closer to where you really want to be because you're not wasting your time in an area that's really not going to net you what you want. So, you know, and what do I mean by that? Well, if you spend your time on wanting to learn how to cast spells all the time, then that's a lower vibration. You're never going to learn how to be a higher vibration because you're going to stay down in this 3D, 4D weird stuff down in here, and where you seem to want to roll around in the mud, you know, and waller in this. Woo, look how cool it is. And, you know, and let's all do it together. No, please, you know. Anyway, oh my God, it's been over an hour. Okay. All right. I was sort of promising myself that I wouldn't do that, you know, do a 3-hour video on that. Project says, I see light forms in the water. Intuitive, it's good to see you, Amber Dawn. And big owls on the rope. Yep, a bit each day. As Max says, practice, rinse, repeat. Yes. And there are days, I'm telling you, there are days when, let me rephrase that. Sometimes we over-expect. In other words, by the end of the week, I'm going to be able to, you know, play football. Well, no, I'm 68 years old. My back is bad. I felt this bucket I was sitting on the other night doing concrete work at 4 a.m. broke, and I fell backwards onto the concrete floor that I was pouring, and, you know, going, what the bucket broke. I mean, the bucket broke. I was just sitting on it upside down. So I get up and I'm like, you know, laying there. I got cement all over me. I've just made a big paw print in the cement next to me that's still, you know, that I just poured. But, you know, no, I'm 68 years old and I'm, you know, I got a bad back and I'm not a kid anymore. And I'm not going to go out by this weekend and be able to play Major League football or baseball or, you know. Oh, but no, maybe by this weekend I can go outside and run around and trot around, you know, in the yard with the dog and play catch. You know, that's achievable. So there are times, I know that's a really big like swing, but there are times when people, I'm going to do this. Well, great. Well, pick something between I'm going to climb Mount Everest and I'm down here in Death Valley. Pick somewhere in between, okay? And say, well, I'm going to go climb a 500-foot mountain. I'm going to go climb a 5,000-foot mountain. I'm going to go climb a, you know, and work your way up to Mount Everest. There are some people who are like hell-bent for, I'm going for the big one, you know, okie dokie. But, you know, it may be best to take, you know, these steps before you get there. Doing the right work. Okay, I went back up somehow. Anyway, let me come back down and see who's. So anyway, good to see you, David. Fun to hang out with such loving people filled with magic and spirit. Thank you, Max, for hanging out with us. And, you know, I really don't want to beat up anybody else in their channel or whatever, but, you know, there are folks out there that are tinkering with stuff. They're looking for the truth. They're looking for honesty. And some of these folks, I absolutely believe, have been touched by something, because if they were actually going down that spirit road, they wouldn't be stuck where they're at. They wouldn't be looking for ways around them. They would be farther down the road. They would understand that none of that is necessary. Instead, they seem to be circling back around. Like I said, Brian and I spoke about this many times off camera, and we were sort of naming names between the two of us as a private conversation. But in that, and watching it before he passed, and now afterwards, and looking back, I'm going, they've actually gotten worse, some of these folks. And somebody's got to be the grown up in the room and say, listen, please be careful with what you say. You're repeating something, you're doing something, and it's like, but do you really know what you're doing? Well, no, I'm saying this one, I'm doing that because everybody else is doing it. Yeah, but should you? You have a moral obligation to the universe. What you do, yeah, it's your free will, but is it going to affect other people? And you go, well, I don't think so. Well, are you sure? Well, I don't know. I'm going to do this and blah, blah, blah. But, you really don't know what the unintended consequences are. Michelle says, Brian and I spoke about this too. Intuitive Dawn. Yes, I agree. Right. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Absolutely. And so, and that's sort of that's a really other, to my list of things why, spell casting is a bad idea, is that just because you can, should you? And so, you're forcing the universe to listen to you. And I just want to say, well, who the hell are you to want to do this thing? What gives you the right to cast anything? Except maybe a fishing net if you're out fishing. But what gives you the right? Well, I have free will, but you're trying to impose your will on somebody else. Well, but nothing. It's not agreeable with the karmic energy of the universe and with your own soul. I mean, every time you do something like that, a portion of your soul gets a little darker, and people are trying to do work to get rid of the darkness. Well, then if by casting a spell, they're trying to get rid of the darkness, there goes the buzzer. Maybe not. Because you got to do, when you do the hard work, like Max has said, we keep talking about, when you do the work and you go into the darkness, if you really try and are truthful and honest with yourself, because that's the key, then you will see the light and you'll realize, I don't need none of this stuff. What I need to learn is to how become more light. In other words, you do these other things, you're going to use your own blood. That's kind of tying you to here. You want your spirit to rise in your energy and your vibration. Be the frequency you wish to receive. Well, if you want to receive low energy, then go for the spells. But if you want to go beyond that, as I said at the beginning of this video, Buddha didn't do any spell casting, and look at the enlightenment he reached through meditation and prayer. What about Jesus? Did Jesus go around casting spells on people? No. The Pharisees were trying to make him believe that he did, but he was just talking to the people. He was speaking to them in parables. He was telling them stories about Buddha, but they won't tell you that. So this idea, though, that who do we believe and what do we believe? You have to have enough ego to be confident with yourself. I have the light, if you wish. There was a prayer somehow that I have the light of the Lord that surrounds me and protects me. Now you can say that, okay. But I have the light of the universe. I have the light of the angels. I have the light of God, however you want to put it. I have this angel light around me. And as long as I have this angel light around me, and I think as pure thoughts as I possibly can with good intent, then this light will shine and it will protect me. And you must have the confidence. You must believe it. So these people who are looking for spells and things like that don't have any self-faith. They don't have enough faith in themselves. They're scared. They're fearful. They want a shortcut. The best way is to just do the work. So the energy spent over here looking for it is taking them away, it's taking them off of the path that they're seeking. You know, it's a distraction. Anyway, my friends, it's been an hour and 24 minutes. Focus on light work. Yep. And out of it really doesn't require a lot of effort. People think that you have to do all of these funky things. No, if you start doing this internal work and you realize, wait a minute, the magic I have is my spirit. The magic I have is my soul. The magic that I have is me. What can I do to be of value to other people, to myself? Let me be of value. If I'm a happier person, then people around me are happier. If I'm do this, if I learn to be more of value, whatever it may be that is, then you become more valuable in the universe. And when you understand these key basic things, and the trick is you got to do it. You got to do the work. You have to stick with it. Otherwise, you're just going to go, well, that didn't really work. I'm going to have to take a shortcut. But anyway, thank you, Max. Thank you, Delaney. Michelle, Project Skyfalls. Do not force anything on anyone. Absolutely. You just can't do it. It will come back on you is the biggest thing, but we just shouldn't do so. Amber Dawn, right. Let's see. Exactly. We put out, come back, and it's not always a good thing for everyone involved. And here's something that Thomas Sheridan, I keep saying his name because maybe some of you will look him up. He does have a YouTube channel. I don't know if it's that, but look him up. And he talks about occult things in ways that, I was like, well, I got this, but he's been at this. He lives over there. He goes to these sites, and his insight to some of these things are like, y'all don't mess with, you don't know. I mean, that's, and he's done some videos on, well, there's people that are trying to do this and they're doing runes and all this and he's like, you people are crazy, and I'm like, thank you. Somebody else agrees, but he very much more about Celtic lore and other types of folklore and earth magic and stuff. But anyway, so he's one of my references, if you will. And he helped me to be, to look at this occult thing totally different. And I'm like, ooh, man, I just really hadn't considered that point of view. So Max says, being honest with yourself is one of the hardest things. Absolutely. And forgiving yourself. We've talked about this too. Marie, hi, how are you? Again, thank you, David. Quite a topic today. You're welcome. Thank you, all you beautiful beings. Right back at you, Truth to Me. Our shaman in training, our brother. But see, I honestly believe that each one of us who are trying to be spiritual are shamans in training, and that we wish to be Buddha-like, we wish to be Christ-like, we wish to be of a higher energy without any religious bullshit. We want to learn, experience, share, be compassionate, understand compassionate, and share it. And I think we have come a long way. Thank you, Max. I hope people watch this before casting a spell. Thanks, Max. Now, I very rarely ever ask anybody to share a video. Please share this video on all platforms, anywhere you can. I've never asked to do this, I don't think, unless it was for prayers for somebody, but share this video, please, and drop it in somebody's chat room and like, before you go do this, maybe you should listen to him. Not that I'm the greatest, but listen, let me tell you, I speak from experience in that I used to cast spells and do Wiccan work and stuff like that. Don't do it. Use your own God-given talents that are within you. Learn how to connect with the universe and you'll understand that all of this other stuff is just crap. I don't know how else to put that. But thank you. Thank you. I'm going to get out of here. I haven't had any supper, and the dog needs a run. And Duggar's over here, and he got to see an old friend of his, and she sat on the couch with him today and brushed him and all and brought him some treats. So thank you, Max. Thank you. An intuitive empath, Miss Amber Dawn, being called stupid repeatedly is offensive. Yeah, and that's something else. Truly, that is something else. There are people, and I try to, well, these people are maroons, but if we promulgate, well, those people are just stupid, well, those people are idiots, or those people are, we need to stop that. We need to say, if we're going to say anything at all, we go, those people are uninformed, not stupid or idiots or crazy, even though I use some of that terminology. But what we put out into the universe, so how do we help to change things? We stop our bad behavior. Somebody's like, well, that person is acting stupid, okay? Which is different than calling the person stupid. And you go, well, wait a minute. There is a difference. So we need to control how our emotions and what we say to the universe. Well, these people are just crazy. Well, and I said in a Facebook post today, I said, the whole world has gone nuts. Let's leave it for the squirrels, and it has come back to in my mind several times, like, yeah, but who are the squirrels? Wait a minute, to collect, and who wants to collect those nuts? Just saying. But anyway, my friends, I love you. Thank you. Especially because I will share it. Thank you, Max. For other people, yeah, Duggar's over here. I got to take him out. Marie, yes, the wisdom I had, my brother, is the way he uses his words. Yes. Absolutely. Work on positivity. Thank you, Al. I love you too, brother. You continue to be safe. There are books, there are videos, there are stuff about, and I've done some of them myself, but in learning how to speak in the positive and staying out of the negative, it is very important. It absolutely works. And so you just change a word or so. So, you go, if somebody's over there, well, you're stupid. That's offensive. If you say, well, you're acting kind of stupid. Well, did you call me stupid? No. But you're acting kind of stupid. But are you? I didn't call you stupid, but so then don't act like that. I don't know if you're stupid or not, but if you do that, you're acting stupid. Let's see about, never mind. So how we use words and what we wish to put across, because you may not know if a person's stupid or not. There's some of these people that I went to school with and I thought were very intelligent. See, I didn't call them stupid, but I thought were very intelligent. Now I'm wondering whether or not I was true with that assumption, meaning these people have gone nuts. Or they've taken an idiot pill. But see, that's not what I said at the beginning. But to the point, so I can get my point across without being, personal. Well, don't act. You're acting kind of stupid there, That's something a crazy person would say. You're not crazy, are you? What? But if you say you're just nuts, there is no rebuttal. That's it. You stated your case. You may think it, you may want to say it, but you go, aren't you acting a little nuts? Isn't that a little over the line maybe for you? Or, just point something out that you're not, but you're a fucking idiot. Yeah, then that's it. You ain't got no way to turn around from that. I've learned from experience. So, but many people need to learn that. I'm watching Facebook comments and I'm going, people still need to learn that lesson. So pass that along too, my friends. Word to self. Yeah. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Don. Yes, it's like a curse in a way. It very is a curse in a way. Yes. Marie, it's practice to remember you teaching way back how we use words. Yes, Marie. Marie remembers when I talked about this way back. Yeah. It still is. It If anything, I think some people have now looked at it and said, you know, I thought you're just full of shit before, but now I actually see that there's some merit to this. Not because I'm right, because it's right, you know? It proves itself. Blue Amber, thank you. Yes. Prosperity and abundance. Thank you, Maverick. Rewatch, thank you. Love and prayers. Like, yes, I'm working on the puppet show thing. I swear to God, today I was like, you know, it was raining and everything, and I got to clean out this end of the house so I can do the puppet shows. But yes, thank you, Max Vision. And I will say this again, please share this on all platforms, just so somebody, if they don't even watch it, maybe they'll at least see the title. Okay, many blessings back on you all too. Thank you, Teresa. So at the end of this long spouty off thing, and thanks for your participation. Oh, by the way, since y'all are here, 453 subscribers, 30,000 hours of watched material this last month on my channel, X amount of likes and comments and shares. Listen, you folks are the bomb. You know what I'm saying? You folks are. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I know you're all saying, well, thank you, Hawkeye. Nah, I could do this and nobody show up. You show up and it makes it worth it. It makes it all worth it for all of us, not just for me, but for all of us. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, end up with a pair. Barry, thank you, good night. And Maverick Project, Truth to Me, Teresa, Michelle, as always, much love and blessings. Thank you, Teresa, Marie. Okay, I think I got everybody there. Max, if you're still there, cheers. Thanks for all the good work you do and everything. Remember, you got to be truthful when you do that work. Okay. I continue to pray that each and every day, and you too, Amber Dawn, thank you, thank you. I continue to pray that each and every day, each and every one of you will continue to learn to accept and receive the knowledge and the healing and the wisdom from the universe. I continue to pray each and every day, thank you, Bob, that each and every one of you, your friends, your family, all of your relatives, and all of your relations, past, present, and to come, will learn to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. And as that law of three, I continue to pray that each one of you will continue to learn to share, learn to accept, receive, and to share the knowledge, the healing, and the wisdom from the universe. And I truly believe that for those of you who have understood that it's possible to just accept these things, how more rich your life feels. And I think all of you, in your own way, have received the value. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Keep sharing. And, you know, we got to pray for these numbnuts. I'm sorry. We got to pray for some of these numbnuts. Anyway, thank you, Max. Love to all. You the bomb. Thank you, Amber Dawn. Amen, Hawkeye. Thanks. You're welcome. Good timing, my little niece woke up. Enjoy. Thank you, Marie. I still got your brother's name on this piece of paper. So laugh my ass off too. Love you all. Until next time, be safe, be kind, be compassionate, and above all else, be strong with yourself. Know and have faith, for goodness sakes. All right. Thank you all. TTFN, Ta-ta for now from South Georgia. Between the ditches where the clay is wet and muddy. Stay on the road, y'all.